that space of utter terror. Like literally, I was lying in bed, going like full on floods of utter hell terror. You know, me praying, God, please, like, what am I going to do here? I can't even speak to anybody about what's going on here. Like, what are you doing to me? I'm screaming at God, like, what is going on? But all of that was my own inner resistance to the path that I'm now going on now, you know? But when you're in it, you can't see that. You can't see the future. You can't see what Spirit has in store for you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Keys of Liberation podcast. I am your host, Dalton Jay Kelsey, and on the show, we love to have deep, meaningful conversations with amazing people who have done some really amazing things and really live a life of liberation, sovereignty, and embody a sense of empowerment. Those who walk into a room and completely change the energy. Those who are sprinkling a little bit of hope and inspiration everywhere they go. And here I love to ask them to share their life experiences, their keys of liberation that have helped them through hardship and through challenging times, that can help every single other person out there, no matter who you are or what you're going through. Because I, like them, are living examples that anything is possible, and that even when there seems like there's no way out, there is always an empowering way out of whatever darkness you're going through. Today's guest is Sam Kelsey. What a man, what an inspiration, and what an amazing surname. Look at that. I mean, he must be an amazing man. He is a spiritual guide and a mentor for people looking to expand their consciousness and deepen their level of awareness and bring positive change into their lives. He helps people move their lives into more alignment with their higher potentials, as well as into deeper connection with self and all of life and this beautiful planet that we live on. He is a big part of New Earth communities and building sustainable villages around the world, and is truly a man of many, many crafts and talents and services. So, without further ado, welcome to the first episode of Keys of Liberation podcast, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody, and hello, Mr. Kelsey. And
Hello,
not
Mr.
me,
Kelsey.
I mean Mr. Sam Kelsey on the other end. Hey, bro.
Hey, how's it going, Dalton? Yeah, it's lovely to see you again. Yeah, it's been, I don't know, about a year, I think, really. We've touched base a few times, haven't we? But yeah, it's nice to come on and be speaking to Mr. Kelsey, because you don't meet many Kelseys, really, do you? It's like round and about.
No,
No, it's,
you're the first one that's outside of the family circle.
yeah, ditto. And I think it's interesting as well for people listening. Dalton and I connected about a year ago.
Yeah.
Over a year ago now it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like, oh, you're Kelsey. No way, you're a Jay Kelsey as well, and I'm Jay Kelsey as well. And then we looked into our human design briefly, and then it sort of passed me at first. But we've got the same incarnation cross as well. I think there's 169 or something like that of them. And we've got the same incarnation cross, which is the cross of tension, isn't it? The right angle cross of tension as well. So as synchronicities go, quite a good one, that. Cheers, God.
Yeah. Good one. Nice. Well, I'm excited for this. You're not in the center of the picture, though, so it would be nice to have you in the center of the picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, exciting discussion we have ahead of us. We've both had our fair share of the journey through the darkness and out the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And into the light, and through psychosis and forms of psychosis, they call it. So yeah, excited to get into this, man. Maybe you'd love to share a little bit about yourself and how yours began, and yeah, I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, we're making the link on this podcast really between, like, you know, spiritual awakenings and psychosis and things, and I think you and I have both gone through that feeling of that. What psychosis? I mean, psychosis is a word, isn't it? Really, that society labels onto things. But when I was in it, I didn't realise that it was what you would term as a psychosis. Really, now I see it as an initiation of what I went through, and mine was induced by an experience that I went through that shattered my entire reality. You know, in the year that my daughter was born. It was, in 2021, I went into a ceremony and I came out of it and I didn't remember anything of it. And then all of a sudden I had these flashes, what they call sort of like flashbacks and things. And I remember just getting floods of terror, having to lie in bed for a week, really, just not knowing what was going on in that initial stages. I thought that I thought my soul was damned, really. I remember that feeling of just felt so ungrounded, didn't know, you know, what was going on at all, in deep amounts of fear and things. But now I realize that it was kind of a process for me to discern what truth was, if that makes sense, you know. But when I was in it, it was terrifying, you know. But in retrospect now, I see it as a gift, a huge gift. You know, and I think that's what we're sort of here to speak about, is sort of our perception of what that was at the time when you're in it, and then when you come out the other end of it as well. And like you say, it's oh, hang on a minute, there's something else going on here that I didn't realize unless I went through that process of that, you know. But yeah, now it's turned into me being of service to humanity as it is to myself, you know, whereas before I was in sort of like a place of not loving myself, you know, and not wanting to be here, I guess. But as you went through that process, I mean, I remember being in it and thinking, I can't even commit suicide. I can't even kill myself because I'm going back to that hellish realm, that place, you know, all them voices and things. And it was just like, oh no, that's not true, is it now? I realize that now, but only through the process of it. But yeah, that's an overview of what I went through anyway, in a very sort of general sense. But yeah, what about you, Dalton? What was the experience like for you?
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, first of all, just hearing you say that and the sincerity that you expressed those experiences, man, it's quite something to hear it come from someone else, because it's some deep spaces that we go to. I also was completely covered in, or engulfed in fear and terror and seemingly torture from my own mind, and this lostness, this no man's land, and completely petrified no matter where I was. You know, I could be with my friends, I could be with my family, and then of course I can be in public as well, and they were equally as traumatic. And it's strange because it shouldn't be that way, right? But it was this internal experience, and it followed me everywhere, even into bed at night when really there's no one around, and I didn't have to pretend I was okay. Because, I mean, I had to really pretend I was okay most of the time due to a voice that told me not to tell anyone, and I'll get into that later. But in bed, I could just let go and stop fighting it. Oh, man, and it and just would take like a tidal wave that throws you and tumbles you, and you just... Oh, man, what a wild time, and almost pulling my hair out at times, and you know, like pulling the hair out and hitting the head, and like, shut up, and like wild. So I mean, I also felt completely cuckoo. But I had this sense of being able to observe it and witness it, and even though also I felt like killing myself every day, I couldn't do it either, man. And I somehow had this knowing that it would pass. I had this sense of like an anchor point of who I was before this happened. So I kind of had like a lighthouse to go back towards. Luckily, at age 21, I kind of knew a great part of who I was. So I guess that's rare to say. I mean, I know many people don't get out of this type of situation, and I wonder if it's because they don't have that lighthouse to go back to, or they might not know who they truly are, or might just not have the simple ability to observe whatever is happening and just pause, just be, and just wait it out, you know?
Yeah.
But one last thing, you mentioned you went to a ceremony, and mine was also, it was also triggered through a hallucinogenic experience, a psychedelic experience, which this has happened to people on psychedelics as well as off. So for me, that's not so important, but certainly can be a launch pad for that kind of experience. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think it's interesting because as you're speaking, I remember being at an Airbnb down in Glastonbury actually, and there was a guy there who just had a spontaneous awakening where he was tapping into other dimensions, you know. At work, he was still holding down his job as an accountant, I'm sure he was, or whatever, but this lasted for 13 days. He was away, he was gone, you know, and it just came out of nowhere. And I think there's something to say for me, like you say as well, it's that there's that quiet voice in your head when I'm going through it. There was that quiet voice that was going, you'll be all right, you know, almost as if like, and I think it's the same when I've correlated loads of different experiences that people have been through, you know, your soul decides. Your soul knows when it's the right time for you to go into one of these states. And at the time, you maybe don't think that you're strong enough. You maybe think that you've made a mistake or you've really messed up here. I remember thinking that to myself when I was in it. I was like, God, I've really messed up here. I've done this. And like, you know, it was the first year that my daughter was born as well, you know, and I should really go into a bit of context about it. Before, I'd gone through a severe dark depression. I'd went on to antidepressants for a while. And then I'd had an experience at the 6-month mark, basically, and I'd alleviated. I came out of it, and it was like this true unity feeling that went through my body, and that lasted for a good 8 months. But then I started to dip again. I started to get, you know, off track, and it was almost like my higher self or whatever came in and said, right now you've got to start the process of sort of purging out all that's not you, you know. And so then I went into another depression. That's when I was at that point. That's when I went into the ceremony. And then Spirit was just like, you won't like, now when I look back, Spirit's like, you won't like this, but you will. That's kind of the sense that I got. Because I decided, I was like, oh, I'll go and do this psychedelic. That's the strongest psychedelic that you can possibly do at this time. And I remember my ego thinking, this will sort me out. And it did. But it didn't do it in the way that was like rainbows and unicorns. It put me right into hell, you know, of what you'd say hell was. It was the most amount of fear that I think you can possibly feel as a human being, you know.
Yeah.
But what that does is it activates you. And this is why, you know, kind of go back to this. There is no good or bad, because when you go into the darker place, you're able to, if you can bring yourself back from there, which society isn't really geared towards. It's not there. It's there going like, oh, drugs here. We don't know what's going on there, because they're only dealing with the physical. They're not dealing with the metaphysical. They're not dealing with the etheric realms. So they're always trying to plaster this stuff up. Fortunately, I didn't get locked up. You know, I wasn't locked up in a mental asylum, but now, as it is, I speak to people who are in psychiatric units and all of these sorts of things, and I'm able to give an experience of what happened for me, and then society just numbs them all down because they don't know what to do with people like that. You know, they don't have any education in that, so it's not necessarily their fault. You know, it's like everybody's doing the best that they can, I believe. But that experience for me was so terrifying that I just did not know what to do after. Everybody was looking at me like, God, is he all right? You know, like, what's going on? And I couldn't, like you, I could not speak that out to anybody because they just wouldn't get it. You go into that place, it's terror, fear, like you've never experienced before. And that's for you to discern. So I knew to stay quite quiet with it, you know. But I think that's it. A lot of people maybe have spoken out about it and they go, oh, he's crazy. It's like, no, he's just misunderstood. You know, he's just misunderstood. I can't understand you, so I can't judge you for what's going on in your life. But I'm sure this resonates with you as well. You know, it's like more in your story. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing, man. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, and you had this voice. You had this intuition not to speak up, and that's amazing. I love how you shared Spirit kind of nudged you and told you ain't gonna like this, but you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a voice as well, and you know, it could be Spirit, could be God, it could be my higher self. I don't know really, but it was one voice out of the many voices that I had in my head, and this was already probably the first week that this had all begun, where I was like, all right, what the fuck now? Ready to do whatever I need to do, and of course possibly ask for help, but the voice came in and it cut through all the other voices and it landed so clear in the heart, and it was, do not tell your family about this. And I absolutely understood what it meant. It wasn't about my family, it was about the societal misunderstanding of what is going on in these phenomena, in these circumstances, in what is labeled mental illness or psychosis or schizophrenia. And if I was to say something, then I would be taken to the hospital, medication, straitjacket, you name it, and might never come out of it. It was so clear. I've never been more clear in my life about anything, but that voice landed and it was solid. So I didn't say a thing, and I went, I buckled up, man, and I went for it. Yeah.
It's
you know,
it's mad. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. I'd like to add one more thing. You know, just the idea of schizophrenia and mental illness. Like, yes, forms of this does seem to exist, and some people have physical imbalances in the brain, and it might be in the family lineage, it might be in the DNA, you know, but I still don't think there's anything wrong with the people, and I'll tell you why, is because there are a list of things that can cause these symptoms of mental illness, you know, and it can range from toxicity in the body, and it can be in the lineage where our ancestors were also unhealthy and they didn't have healthy DNA, and again it's like a weak leg in the system that can cause the symptoms of mental illness. And there can be external interference from EMF frequencies, that many things that can weaken your field, make you more fragile here and in
influence
the system.
you,
Right, and your energy body, your aura, you could just have a more fragile, fragile standpoint. There's spiritual awakenings, and then there's the I don't know what to call it.
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm differentiating it well enough as well, but I see
No.
there's crumbling of the ego, the
Mm.
depersonalization, the dissolving of the human programs that can leave us open and in fear of, wow, I've just died. Where am I now? What is this new reality?
Mm.
Still scary, but more positive in a sense, where there's also, like you've said, there's fragments of us externally, whether it's entities or mischievous spirits that can also come and interfere. You know, little nature spirits, little demons and stuff like that. That you see a
Mhm.
moment of a little window,
Mhm.
in to interfere or interrupt. But as you say, all an initiation for your discernment.
Yeah.
This is what the initiation is all about. Your chance for discernment, what is true and what is not, as you said.
Mm. Yeah, thanks. It's that's how I perceive it now, years later. I remember there was one discerning point as well that it kind of ended, and that was me making some very hard decisions to make, with myself, and where I was going and what I was doing, and I realized that a lot of my fear was being created by my inner resistance to things, to because it sort of says as well, now I've discerned more with the Akashic records and things like this, and when you're not listening, which is no like blame or judgment, when you're not listening, spirit will come in and and this kind of goes into like, yeah, we have free will, but at the same time, Robin, yeah, we have free will, but at the same time, we kind of don't as well, because if we're straying off path, spirit will come in and usually jolt us back on. And then you can make the parallel of that in the world. Look at the world right now. It's so out of balance. So it would seem anyway. But really it's harmony in motion. And then you make the parallel as well to, was that a bad experience that I went through? Was that a bad experience that you went through? Now, at the time, yes. In time, when you're in that moment, yes, it's horrendous. Yes, it's terrible. It's awful. It's fracturing everything that you ever thought was that was known. You have no idea. You're so ungrounded. But from that ungrounded place, you're at base level. Now you can build back in truth, rather than, and that's it. It kind of takes you down. I look at everything energetically, and it's like it takes you down to that base level. Now you can start to put the bricks back together. But those first few bricks, they're tough, You're in shame, and then you're going up into, sort of like you're going through, anger and all of these low vibrational energies to then transmute it, to then be of service in some way. And it is an initiation. But look at the world. Everybody, if you look at the world and from what they're saying, it's saying, oh, it's terrible, it's awful, it's falling apart, look at all this stuff. But really, that is that process of harmony. That is that process of rebuilding, and microcosm as within, so without. Then you start to see the bigger picture. Without me going into that space of utter terror, like literally, I was lying in bed, going like full on floods of utter hell terror. Me praying, God, please, like, what am I going to do here? I can't even speak to anybody about what's going on here. I'm having to split from my partner who I've just had a child with. Like, what are you doing to me? I'm screaming at God, like, what is going on? But all of that was my own inner resistance to the path that I'm now going on now, But when you're in it, you can't see that. You can't see the future. You can't see what spirit has in store for you. So you're still resistant. As soon as you let go of that, then it starts to become easier. And that's the process of what the world's going through right now. I look out there and I go like, people are going, it's awful what's happening. It's the worst it's ever been. Look at your own life. When it gets bad, it then is transforming, it's transmuting, and we're at that squeeze point. I see it, you know, and we've all gone through that squeeze point so we can help other people to realize that's what's happening, you know. But without it, it's very hard to do without that, and everybody's in resistance to that. I want to say one last thing on this as well. I did not make that process look in any way easy. I made it look terrifying for people around me, you know. So no wonder everybody's struggling to wake up, because if they were looking at me going, there's a blueprint, yeah, you want to come on this journey, go through what you went through? It's like, honestly, it's amazing, right? It looks awful, but it's amazing, and that's a hard sell. It's like,
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant, man.
yeah,
Yeah, hard sell. Wow. Wow. And I wonder if, you know, if can people find true liberation? It's a rhetorical question, right? But like, can people find true liberation without experiencing and blasting through the opposite end, where it's long term, where it's not superficial happiness or joy or contentment, but it's a true contentment that can, up to this point, I'm wondering, can it only come from experiencing that deepest, darkest breaking point, whatever yours is, and it could look completely different for everybody. And even psychosis, or so-called psychosis, and mental illness and spiritual awakenings are very different for everyone, right? Yeah.
yeah, infinitely unique. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. So I'm grateful that we have been through something like this. It seems like the right time. I mean, me launching my new project, Keys of Liberation, is, yes, to share my foundational experience of what keys I found that brought me to liberation, that was long-lasting, and into my sovereignty. But then to build on that, because if you look at the world, it's seemingly in its own psychosis, where there's a species that is destroying its environment, the same environment that gives them breath to survive, in exchange for money, paper, and so many other things that are just against life, anti-life. Fighting against other humans on other pieces of land as if they are any different to us. They're just on a different piece of land. Actually not, because the land under the ocean is joined.
This is ours. It's possession. Possession doesn't exist. Yeah. This is Russia.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Russia doesn't exist. You know, Russia is an idea like money, isn't it? You know. Oh, the Scottish, they don't like the English. But you take away the borders, you take away the boundaries, what are we, you know? And that's what I realized through that process as well, was that, hang on a minute. And then you can narrow it down to, like, where does a tree end, you know? Well, the tree, the word tree signifies that beautiful thing out there, you know? But it's dependent on the soil. It's dependent on the rain. So where does the tree end? Because without that doesn't exist. Without that doesn't exist. And there's another parallel there, you know. It's like, and interestingly, like, you know, what you were saying about, is it possible to awaken, you know, or see the light without first knowing the dark? And I haven't seen any evidence to say that it is possible. And that's why everybody's just trying to do this. Whereas I think you and I have gone down here and we've learnt down here. And then it plays into a Hermetic principle, the law of vibration, for what goes down must come up, you know? And then it's like, that's the balance. You know, we are both the dark and the light. We're all of it. And coming back into true unity, is more than an intellectual understanding of that. It's a felt sense, and you feel it when you go down into that. You know what the darker beings are feeling like. Then you also but for as much as you can feel down here, you have to be able to feel that down here. But most of humanity is doing this, no judgment. They're dribbling along because it's like, I don't want to go down there. But down there is where it's at, because from there you get the trajectory to go up there, you know.
Yeah. And the experience, right? The life experience, the hot and cold, the high and low, the light and dark. Yeah. Did you want to say something else there? I'm not sure if I cut you off.
I remember being really grateful when I came out of that experience. Initially, when I came out of it, I couldn't remember anything. I remember sort of sat up and looked around the room, and the whole energy in the room had changed. Everybody was like, what the hell has just happened, you know? And it was hell, you know? But then when I did come out of it, a friend who was sat there holding space as well, apparently like 4 women had to hold me down. They had to hold me down literally because I was constricting and conjoiling and all sorts of stuff. But when I came out of it, a friend, she said to me, it's like, beings who go through what you've just been through, what we experienced you go through, are very, very powerful beings, you know. And everybody else in the group had beautiful, wonderful experiences that were just light and love. And my intention with that, you know, was, I can't share that intention here because it's very unique to me, but it was a very, I was asking a lot, you know, but my soul knew that that was the right thing at the right time, because it showed me how to surrender to what's going on, you know, to know that everything is okay. And I forget that other people haven't had that experience as well, but thankfully that was kind of the one thought that was just like, there's stuff that you're going to be learning here, rather than just, I have no idea what's going on, you know. And that was a big help for me, you know. So it's like, if there's anybody who's listening to this who's maybe been through or going through these kinds of psychotic initiations or episodes or whatever it is, know that there is something that is being revealed, you know. And then it's up to us to then speak our intention to what that is, I guess, you know, because that helps to reground us again. And all grounding means is being in truth. That taught me what truth was, what love is, by going to the very opposite of what I think that is. But now I understand that too is love. It's just in time we break that, we make the duality, we make the separation there of, no, that's bad, this is good. No, they're both interchangeable, because in time that bad experience will always come good. Law of vibration, what goes down must come up, you know. And it's like a daily thing, you know, we have good days, we have bad days, that's it, you know. It's like so, it's interesting speaking this out, because I haven't really spoken about it much, I guess, but it's nice to speak with you about these sorts of things. But what was it on your path that, like, what was that turning point, I guess? You know, it's like, what was that for you?
Loving it too, brother. Loving sharing this together too. And yeah, for me, there was an interesting series of what I've now labeled as keys, which are certain memories that were breakthrough moments that unlocked the next stage for me. A new one that came through, I mean, it was 15 years ago, huh? So a new one that just came through that I haven't shared on my social media yet while you were talking there was, one of them was observing that for me there was a lot of spirits, and I was seeing a lot of entities and stuff, and they were very direct. They were very intrusive. They were directly interfering, I would say. It was very traumatic. And that was the whole year and a half that I experienced this. And one night I actually asked myself, wait a second, can those spirits actually physically harm me?
Mm.
And that logic there was like, technically, no.
Mm.
It was huge. It was like this, like I could exhale
Yeah.
and just breathe and like, okay, they're gonna be there, they're gonna interfere with me, but I can attach to it. I can feel threatened, or I can remember that I'm good. They can't actually physically harm me.
Mm.
Wow, that was huge. And yeah, so a series of other moments like that. One of them was realizing that with this loud mind that was just so loud and all this stuff going on, mind, I say, right? But there's also this, where is this schizophrenia come from? What is it really? Could it be other spirits? Could it be other voices of other things that are in the room? There's so much around us that we cannot hear, including a radio station. If you tune into it, it's there right now. If you have the extrasensory perception to tune into it. So with all these voices, with all this loudness, and these destructive thoughts as well, I realized that I told myself to stop listening to the mind. You are not your mind, I said. Stop listening to your mind. And really like giving myself the finger, like, stop it. You're not your mind. Let it go. And that's a profound wisdom teaching of, meditation and these ancient Eastern practices, which I had no idea of beforehand. But just in survival and logic again, I was like, okay, I'm not my mind. Stop listening to that. And next was detaching the heart, or like the emotions, from the mind, because the emotions would always follow those psychotic thoughts, and that was terror for my nervous system as well. So I got to detach that and let the mind do its thing, and let the stuff do its stuff, and stay in my center. And a few other things like finding my essence. Back to what you said about going to that opposite end to discover love, and that the whole experience is a loving experience. I felt in that moment you said it. It's almost like when your parents tell you as a young kid not to do this, and you're like, oh my God, they don't love me, and they don't want me to go out to whatever, to see to go to my friend's house, or I'm not allowed to have the sweets, or I'm not allowed to, they don't love me. Or they're saying don't talk to a stranger or whatever, it doesn't feel nice, but it's pure love in action. So it's just a funny connotation that I thought to add in there. But to find out what love truly was, which is our essence, that is what I discovered on the opposite end, in the deepest, darkest pit of that dark ocean. I found myself, and that was the gift of the initiation. That was the discernment completion, as you said, to discern what is real was, for me in my case, to go inward when everything else was unreal. I was forced to go in because somehow, some way, I could feel and I knew that there was something real inside of me. And that's what it turned out to be. And it wasn't only the real thing inside of me, but absolutely everyone else. That life force, consciousness, that pure love, that light.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's kind of, you know, I remember saying about, you know, these entities and things, they're all helping you by getting right up in you, you know, for you to then be able to go, I'm going to hold my power here and not give it to you anymore. Thank you for being there. That's why things get so close, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
things get so close to you, so that it's like, I can't look anywhere else. I don't have to play along with this anymore. You know, it's
It's like a
like,
snapping point. It's like
yeah,
so close, pressure cooker,
yeah,
so there, and it
hmm,
needs to, because there's that snapping point,
yeah,
that breaking point.
yeah,
But if they're dabbling on top, like you said, most of society, non-judgment is doing,
yeah,
they won't reach the breakthrough because they're not
mhm,
going in deep enough to reach the breakthrough moment.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well because it's like, first of all, spirit will give you it will give you a wisp of air, and if you don't notice that, then it'll touch your face, and then
Yeah.
it will sort of stroke your face a little bit harder,
Yeah.
and then it'll poke you.
Yeah.
And if you're still not listening, then it might just slap you.
Yeah.
And if you're still not listening, then it'll punch you. And if you're still
Yeah.
not listening, it'll break your arm. And if you're really still not listening, it'll give you a car crash, you know? And
Yeah.
that's love too. So like you said with the parents
Yes.
as well, don't do those things, it's bad for you, you know what I mean? It's like, it's all love. You can build those parallels in anything that's going on. And right now, society, we're at the densest,
Mm.
thickest, like, existence that we've been in, you know? Why?
Mm.
Because we've come here from an experience going, hey, if we can get out of that, that's incredible, isn't it? You know?
Mm.
And that's the opportunity that we've been given here, is that ability to be able to go into the ooh, can it even get darker? Sure
Mm.
can, you know? And as a microcosm, what's gone on within us, we see that that's happening in the world too, but we're not freaking out about it. But
Yes.
I should caveat this as well. All the way through my life, you would call from the age of, I don't know, maybe it started when I was younger than this, but I remember it from being about the age of 6. I had experiences where I went down and I was watching, couldn't sleep. I was going into the astral realm. Now I realised as a kid I would be falling asleep and I'd get all these, it's like a man was shouting at me. That's what I used to say to my parents. I used to go downstairs crying, going, the man is shouting at me again. And it was like this. And I'm obviously,
Mm.
now I realise I was going into the astral realm and I was starting to leave my body and things like this. It's like paralysis. Anyway, higher self always decided those nights, and I went downstairs when my mum and dad were watching things like the X-Files when I was like 5, and they left it on, and I was watching Horizon. There was a program called Horizon, yeah, and it was about Yellowstone National Park volcano exploding. I was watching this at about the age of 5 and going, oh my God, everybody's going to die, like from the age of 5, you know? So
Wow.
health anxiety, boom, right. Now, in retrospect, oh yeah, I wrote that into my life. So that I went downstairs at that specific moment so that I could build that fear of terror, live that throughout my life, bye-bye hair, you know? And then it's like, I get to the age of 33 and it culminates. All of that stuff has to come out, all of that fear, all of that worry about everybody dying. At 2012, I remember sitting in church, please give me 8 more years, give me 8 more years. Don't know where that came from, you know. Scared, terrified the world was going to end. Major health anxiety, hypochondriac like you would not believe, all the way through my life. Until the age of 30, 31, where I had my breakthrough moment. I went into the light, I then went into the dark, and then I managed to find that balance and that middle path with it. But without those experiences of me waking up at that specific time to watch that specific program, I wouldn't be where I am now. So this is where there is no good or bad in essence. It's like the I Ching, the Tao, you know, it's the Tai Chi symbol, the yin yang. You know, it's like the dark is in the light is in the dark, and they're chasing each other endlessly, and it's always perfectly balanced. And that's what's happening now. As the world seems to get darker, it is also getting lighter. It's always that, you know. Without these experiences, there's no way that I would realize that on a deeper felt level where I can then re-ground back into that truth, you know. And it's like, that is the only truth, that there is only one thing here interacting with itself. If we're creating judgments, and judgments are based in time as well, that's it. That was bad. Oh no, wait, that was great. You know, it's like that experience there, through my perception of it, was terrible. Now when it's being transmuted, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Do I want to go back to that place? Not really, if I'm being honest. You know, not really, you know. But I knew if I did, then there'd be a reason behind it, whereas before it was so ungrounded, you know. And that's it. It's like I'm always making these parallels because I think that's what the journey does for us, you know. I don't know if you're the same. It's yeah. Without going into the dark, we wouldn't know what light is, you know. Yeah.
Yes. Wow, man. Beautiful share. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I relate for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful stuff, man. And here we are sharing it. Good job.
Yeah. From one Kelsey to another. It's like, you can't write that either, can you? It's like, Mr. Kelsey, Mr. Kelsey. I don't meet any other Kelseys at all, you know. Yet the experiences that we've been through are very similar, you know. Haha, nice one, God.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wow, man. So what would you say was your biggest help through that time? Any standout moment that was your biggest help, that made the biggest difference for anyone going through any kind of suffering and similar situation?
For me, what actually helped me in that was kind of a serendipitous moment where I was in the pits, and I remember thinking, I don't know what I need, and randomly I went to acupuncture. Acupuncture was actually the thing, and the being Peter, who I went and did it with. I mean, he lived at Rainbow House as well, which when I arrived I nearly cried, you know. It was just like, and I went in, and first of all I was still in a deep psychotic place, you know, but I shared openly with him what was going on, and this man met me with no judgment, you know, no judgment at all. He just knew that I was out of balance in some way, and with the speaking to him and getting the acupuncture in different points and things, it helped to release that energy. And I remember him saying to me, actually, it was just like, do you remember when you first came in here? It makes us feel quite emotional, actually. It's like, because I was in pieces. I was in absolute pieces. And he said, look at you now, you know. And this was 3 months, something like that. I think I went to him every week. And I said, yeah, wow, what an incredible change, you know. And it was like, he really helped me, you know. But that's the main thing. I think society says there's something wrong with you, whereas people who have been through it go, there's nothing wrong with you, you know. You're just out of balance. Let's get you back into balance. I will meet you where you're at. That's what Peter did for me. He met me where I was at. He allowed me to speak openly about everything, and he was that one person who I went to try and fix me, if that's not the right term, but that was my intention at the time, was like, I need fixed. And everybody else was trying to fix me in the way that they thought they could. But really, if you've not gone through that experience, you can't help the other person. You have to be an open book, non-judgment at all, you know. And then from that moment, you find your own way. And he was the perfect person to speak to, you know. So that really helped me. Yeah. Allowing myself to be open, I think. But what about you? What was that point where that helped you in that way?
I would say that the biggest help was the witnessing, was the observer aspect, because that came through, or that was foundational for all of the other keys that I found that unlocked aspects of me and brought me back to ground level over that year and a half. Required an observer standpoint first, you know. And here's a goodie. One of the greatest things that helped me, and this is universal, guys, was in a moment of absolute exhaustion, few days not resting, you know, I could hardly sleep with that busyness every night, you know. Sleep deprivation adding to the whole thing. There was this exhaustion moment. I even remember I was kind of lying diagonal across the bed, almost head to toe, like opposite way on the bed, which, by the way, you had women holding you down. Like in evenings, my bed was like the judo mat. And I would throw myself around there and just roll around. I'm getting sidetracked though, but so I was lying, just almost hanging off the edge of the bed in complete exhaustion, and the level of absolute terror that I was feeling brought me to a point where I also had the popping moment, maybe this, you know, like this pressure, the pressure cooker that just pops. I had this popping moment where the terror was so much that I actually realized that the level of fear that I feel is so far, like, away from the immediate danger that is actually, or actually not, in my environment. There is nothing happening around me right now. And this was this aha moment. And I literally, out of exhaustion, said, "What the fuck are you afraid of?" I shouted to myself, "What? What?" And I looked around and I almost laughed, as if like, "You idiot," type thing, you know? Like, what the fuck are you afraid of?
Yeah.
And I laughed at myself, and in this laughing moment, I separated from the sufferer. And interesting point, isn't it? Like, how many people are not able to laugh at themselves? There's this shame, there's this thing, there's this awkwardness,
Embarrassment.
you know, and yeah, embarrassment, but the profoundness of being able to laugh at ourselves can literally free us from any suffering that we are feeling. That is fucking profound.
Yeah. Humor has a huge part to play in this as well, because the world's going like, it's all serious, and we're going, oh, it's all
Yeah.
serious. And then you realize, no, it's not. None of it is, you know. It's like, because again, what you discern on the journey is that death isn't real. It's not something to be scared of. It's
Yeah.
as beautiful a process as birth, you know. Yet we've been in
Yes.
such resistance to this thing. I don't want to look at that, especially in the Western world. It's different, other cultures and things. Never more healthy relationship with death, you know.
Yeah.
But it is that, isn't it? If you can laugh going like, you know, what's the most scary thing if you're in one level of perception, you know? Death. You know, what's the most freeing realization. If you're in a different state of perception, death. Everything goes up, everything goes down, and that's it. But you realize that we pop in and out. We don't die forever. You know, it's like we're constantly in that process of being born and dying. You know, and it's just, I think it's part of our mind that's dying. It's getting quieter, and that's what this process does, isn't it? It's to the point where you don't have to listen to that. You don't have to follow that. You know, it's like, especially if it's in fear, and they're the two choices, and that's the simplicity of it, isn't it? Love or fear, acceptance or resistance, you know. And the resistance, that's when it gets louder. Resist, pop.
Bang.
Silence, you know. And that's what we learn, isn't it? You don't have to follow the mind. The mind is not real. You know, it's real if you make it. If you give your consent to it. It's like these entities and these beings, they're real if you give your consent to them, you know. It's like, but sometimes we have to as well, and that's it, you know. Why would I choose to go to absolute hell? Oh, because it's amazing. Right. Intellectually you can say that, and somebody can go like, yeah, it sort of makes sense, but when you go through it, then you go, okay, right. Deeper levels of awareness being birthed here, you know, that ultimately free you from that idea of fear, I guess. You know. But then other fears come in, you know. It's like, that's the natural part of being a human as well, you know. It's like, but it's,
I had a
go on.
please, but it's
I just saying it's easier to navigate. Yeah, it's easier to navigate. Easier to see it for what it is.
And on that note, I had an actual specific shift towards fear, thanks to this, because I was so engulfed with the fear all the time and so one with it. Really, it became a familiar place, you know, and after that experience, similar to what you maybe said in the beginning of our chat, is that my relationship with fear has changed. It's almost like an old friend. I know it so well now, and I can not experience anything so far that can touch the level of fear and suffering that I was in that time. Nothing really comes close to that. So being comfortable with that level of fear almost liberated me in a big way from fear of darkness, of evil, of the dark side, you know?
Yeah, contrast.
It's almost like I knew it so well that it's like, I mean, I was it. It was my experience. Yeah. Similar to you?
Yeah, definitely. It's exactly that, for what you were so scared of. And I think being to choose to go into lifetimes such as these are here to see it all, you know. And seeing it all isn't just seeing the light, it's going down to that deep dark place that nobody else would understand unless. My intention.
That was your intention with the medicine, wasn't it? Show me everything.
Literally. What can I do to help those who I love through the time that is coming? That was my intention with it, and it went, I'm going to give you what you asked for, but not in the way that you thought. And then it was my attachment going, I've messed up. I've really messed up here. Oh God, you know. And it was just like, no, you didn't. It answered, and it was so gracious in that as well. Cheers. You know. Here's hell. That's what hell is. Hell isn't pitchforks and devils and things like that. Hell is complete and utter hopelessness. It's the absence, or what seems like the absence, of any kind of good. But actually, when you go to that place, you find the good in that. And there's a lot in what I've said there, but that's the premise of it. And then it gives you that parallel. It gives you that parallel of being able to see that in the world, to be able to ground yourself when all else is losing its mind, losing its shit all around you. You can sit there and go, it'll be okay. And they're going, what? How is this okay? And you're going, because we don't know. This is a process, like we are. And when you go through that process in your microcosm, you're able to then assist this place by being very, what's the term, like grounded, you know. I was going to say brave, but it's like stupidity and bravery are very closely linked, and that's what you feel on this journey, I guess. But yeah.
But I give it to you. I give it to you, mate. It does take a brave soul to decide to go in there like you have.
Yeah.
And all for great purpose.
Yeah.
Quick question, if I may, just on something you said there. It's such a big topic in the world right now, especially with the spiritual communities. And it makes me, what you've just shared, question, has majority of them preaching what I'm about to share with you, have they gone through that level of darkness where they realized, oh, who are we to decide what is actually out of place and what is not? Where you find a contentment that we have been talking about, versus what a lot of the spiritual community are saying is that, how can everything be okay? Stand up, say something, do something about it. And they're not wrong, because yes, in degrees we can and do many things. Maybe not how they picture us, protesting and getting online and you know, shouting for justice as they are. And you know, like, maybe you can share your perspective on this big controversial topic in the spiritual world right now.
Yeah. From my perspective, and it is just a perspective.
Sure.
And I've shared it with a few other beings as well, and I think, you know, when you go down to that deeper, darker place, you realize that there's a saying, and it sounds quite harsh to say it out, but to let people die unto themselves, it sounds really harsh, that, you know. It's like people ask, you know, what about my friends and family and things, and it's almost like the mind is the one that's trying to control their awakening, you know, when actually, when you surrender, because that's what this journey leads you to, is this, well, how can I surrender? How can I, you know, let go of that fear, I guess. And to let go of that fear, to move into that place of unity, seeing that everything is divine, everything is God, then letting people fall into their own suffering is theirs. That's their gift too, you know. And it's a hard one, because it triggers a lot of people, because I think there's a lot of healers who are still trying to keep people above that point of going down, when actually maybe their soul needs to go down to there for them to discern that. And I'm so glad you've brought this up, because I struggle with it, because their suffering is their suffering. Their suffering is their awakening, potentially. Right. You know? And when you get down to that lowest rung, that's where you find who you are. But if we're just, oh, I want to help and intervene, and God's doing that, you know? And it's like, I can exemplify this. It's that thing of flick, poke, punch, arm break, car crash.
Yes.
That's not controlled by you, you know? Where people are at, and where they're at within their own karmic imprint as well, determines what they will experience, from my perspective. So it's like, for instance, with my dad has just gone through an experience where he had open heart surgery, and I can't go into the specifics, but he's at a point where he's had the car crash, you know, because spirit is always trying to get us back into that place of love and acceptance for ourselves, because that's the thing that changes the world. When we love this, we love that, you know. It's a mirror, and if we're out of balance in that some way, it will give us a car crash, and then it will give us heart surgery, and then after the heart surgery went well, and then my dad fell and he went unconscious, and then came back, and then he was in bed with a catheter for, you know, like 8 days or something. He didn't leave the bed, and in that space he was going into the astral realm, and he had this experience, and I didn't realize at the time. I was just going up to see him afterwards, and he said, like, Sam, I went to this place where it was more real than this, and it scared me, and I was terrified. And I said, wow. And I managed to have conversations with my dad about these experiences and share my experiences, and he says, you've been to those places too, haven't you? And I said, yes, I have. And I go willingly to those places because I know that when you go into that suffering, it's like if you want to build muscle, you have to work, you know, you have to, work's the wrong term, you have to put a bit of suffering, pain into your body to build. If you don't, you wither, you shrink, you know, and that is worse than the voluntary suffering that you put yourself through in order to grow and evolve. And that's what spirit is always trying to get us to do. It's always trying to get us into our very best expression of who we truly are. But if we're not listening, sometimes it will help us by giving us a car crash, or, you know, giving us these experiences that we then go, that's terrible. Society's like, oh, it's awful. And now it's interesting because the people that I do calls with, a lot of them are drawn to me because they'll say that they've had these certain experiences. Like, you know, an example, you know, it's like my girlfriend hung herself and I walked in and saw her, you know, and instead of me pitying them, I show appreciation for them sharing that with me, but I also don't react like society would and go, I'm really sorry that happened to you, because I don't know if that is a bad thing yet. Yes. Because I know that death is not the end, but it's very compassionate as well, in the fact that I'm amazed, I'm in awe of that experience. Seeing it as a neutral thing helps them to come to terms with it. But yeah, you go through a process of grieving and you feel it deeply. But then if you've got somebody there who is not even judging that situation as good or bad, because I don't know enough to say if that's a bad experience. After that, these people go on to have a much more grounded perception of what's going on, and are able to utilize that experience for the gift that it is. But society says that's terrible. That caused you harm, that suffered. But out of that is you birthing. You're birthing something that you didn't know was there. You know, and I know now from the work in the Akashic, we make contracts and we build these experiences so that we're able to see ourselves clearly, see this reality clearly, so that we can help other people through that. There's so many other parallels and experiences that I could share that I've had with people that are similar to that one, you know. That's changed. It's not the actual thing, but it's that perception that really helps us to grow, rather than staying in a victim of it, because the victim is what you could say that contrast feeds on here. It wants us to be a victim of life rather than being an empowered one, and we're just leaking energy then if we're a victim of it. And I know what that feels like on a deep level. I'm sure you do. It's like, why is this happening? Oh, you know, but that question alone, why is this happening? I don't know yet. But it's hard. It is tough to be able to bring yourself to that point if you are not witnessing it from an observer point, I guess, you know. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, has has brought that for me, coming out of that contrast, that terrible experience, and now seeing it as my greatest gift, as you have.
Yeah.
It allows me to see the rest of life that way.
Mm.
And people have sometimes complimented me on my resilience, and they're kind of taken by how resilient I can be to negative things, but it's exactly because of what you just spoke about. It's because of my non-judgment of something happening. And even though I might not know what the positive purpose of that thing is yet, I still know that it will be revealed at some point. So I'm not quick to, well, I don't at all finalize or box certain things or experiences or label it too soon. And that also helps me be quite neutral to people's sharings. And I guess that does bring a sense of calmness when I think back to friends and clients and things like that. So it's really unique what you're sharing, man, and what you hold. And we're coming just over an hour now, and I maybe we do another one sometime soon. But we could talk for days, and
I would love to. Yeah,
it's beautiful, and it's time to share this kind of stuff. And I'll be putting your social medias in the description, so people please check out Mr. Kelsey, his Instagram and his services and all his amazing things that he's doing for the world. And I look forward to the next one, brother. Thank you so much for you and who you are, and choosing the path you chose for the highest and greatest good of all. I see you, I feel you, I appreciate you, man. Lots of love.
Yeah, I see you too, Dalton. Thank you very much. It's interesting as well. Like, I've just realised, it's like I'm lifting this up, and what made me choose this? This is the path that we're all on. From Torn Richard speaks about it, and it was amazing. We're going from consumers, caterpillar, ravenous. Did we judge the caterpillar? No, it's eating all the leaves though, it's like it's gobbling everything up, it's consuming, and then it goes into a chrysalis phase where it turns to goo and it doesn't know its arsehole from its elbow because it's all moving round, And
like
then
we did, right? We didn't
exactly.
know
It's uncomfortable. You're transforming in this rigid shell that feels like such a constriction. You're being compressed, and then all of a sudden it breaks. And out comes that, which then goes out into the world, and it creates. It no longer consumes, it just goes in and creates and moves the pollen around, spreads everything, spreads light, and it's like, what a parallel, If more people could see that as a process that's happening in everything, everything. It's like we're going from consumer to a really uncomfortable phase. There is a phase, if anybody's listening to this, and then we break out of that into this butterfly, and we get to fly. We get to spread our wings and just emit light, It's like, what a lovely parallel. It's but thank you anyway. I digress. Thank you very much, Dalton.
Thank you.
Let's do this again at some point, because there is much more to go into, isn't there? Yeah. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you for choosing the name Kelsey in this lifetime as well, so that we can connect and have this conversation, because it feels very aligned and divinely sort of led, isn't it? But thank you, brother. Really, you are a brother. Yeah.
Thank you, my brother.
All right.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.
See you soon.
Will do.
Ciao,
everyone.